Certainly glad to be 1-0. I tell our guys all the time there's only one alternative to being 1-0, and it's always good to avoid that. I thought we played a little tight early, and when shots didn't go in the first half, I think guys started to press, and we started to take lower quality shots as opposed to the opposite, which certainly we did to start the second half. The thing I was most pleased about during that stretch is it didn't seem to affect our defensive intensity and our commitment on that end to getting stops. And that's not always easy to do, especially early when you're coming in and there's expectations on individual guys in the team to perform on that end of the floor. And obviously going to offseason, all the talk about it, was our offensive inefficiencies. But we became the number 4 defensive team by the end of last season, and to see our guys still committed to that end and giving our offense some time to catch up was good to see. And then obviously we were able to put it together for a good stretch there to start the second half and got some separation and feel good about it, but obviously a lot to work on.
Obviously, John Michael was cramps. He came here and said it was cramps, but how scary was that moment for you?
I mean, I don't know about scary. I'm generally a positive guy, so I don't always go to the worst, most negative place when things like that happen. And he had cramp before that. He actually came out. When he got subbed out prior to that, he was cramping. And I actually asked if he was good to go back. He felt like he was, but obviously at that point, there's really nothing you could do, unfortunately. That all stuff you got to kind of be ahead of. So we talked about it. Just got to take care of yourself from a hydration standpoint and the type of stuff you eat as you prepare for a game. And thankful, certainly, that it's not anything worse. But he was obviously a big factor in the game.
Yeah, what was his presence for you guys tonight?
Almost exactly what we hoped it would be, to be honest. When you ask what does he bring, is he gives us another guy who's a proven really good player who can do multiple things on the offensive end, who has a calming presence as a primary ball handler, but also has the ability not just as a facilitator for other guys, but you got to guard him because he can score. I mean, he didn't average 18 by mistake. He averaged 18 because he's capable. He's a pretty good decision maker as well, and he plays with just kind of a good pace about himself. So when things get a little crazy, he can kind of settle things down, and he also makes the game easier for Bryce and Avery, in all honesty, because he takes pressure off of them having to create so much offense on their own. And then obviously you can put that together with those other two guys once they get going, and you have an inside presence like we had tonight from Caleb. You got a chance to have a team that can compete.
You mentioned it. All the talk of the offseason was three-point shooting. You start 0 for 11. Was there a, oh, here we go again feeling, or did you know that at some point they were going to start falling?
No, I don't believe in that. I get it. I can't be a fan. I mean, my job is to trust what we do every day, believe in the guys we have, and try to continue to put them in positions to get the shots that they're capable of making. I studied a lot of film on John Michael Wright and Caleb Asbury as we recruited them. Those guys are going to make shots for us. I've watched Avery and Bryce become better shooters over their time here, and they're going to make shots for us. So, again, I don't want to say we're going to be a 40% three-point shooting team. They're going to be nice when we don't shoot it great. That's part of the game. They'll be nice when we shoot it much better than we have here in the last couple years. And you got to find a balance in how you continue to attack offensively when shots from the perimeter aren't going in. And I thought the guys, to their credit, listened to each other at halftime. They made a conscious effort of throwing the ball inside and then allowing our defense to create some easy baskets in transition.
John Michael had the final 9 points of the first half when you talked about those threes weren't falling. Does that go to kind of his calming presence, kind of nature of him?
Yeah, and it goes to just the ability that he's a good player. I mean, we're thankful to have him. I mean, we were very intentional about who we tried to recruit, this offseason. I still remember the press conference on March 5th when the season was over and talking about what he got to do. We got to address the things that he addresses for us. Ball handling, decision-making, and shot-making, and doing it with a guy who has experience and has had success doing it at the college level. It's one thing to have a freshman out there who you're just not sure how is it going to translate. But the thing about him now is he doesn't have to take 20 hard shots to get, 14 points. He takes 8 shots, gets 14 points, and he does that in less than 23 minutes, plus 23 on the stat sheet. Pretty good night for a kid like that.
It seemed like they were stepping back to prevent lobs, bumping Musa anytime he went through the lane. Was that, from your angle, kind of their focus was shutting him down?
Yeah, they were pretty physical. They were, to their credit. I mean, a lot of times, you kind of look at the score and like, man, why they only beat? Well, first of all, the other team's got good players. And they have a coach they're trying to win also. And that team, with that coach, not all the same players, came in here and lost by almost 50 last year. There's an element of pride also to send your team a message that we're going to compete. And obviously our fans got a little disturbed about it at the end, but he was sending a message to his team about what they're going to be about. And I respect that. And I was glad to see how our guys responded to that. We didn't necessarily fall into playing that way. We continued to play the way we play, and it led to us having a double-digit victory on opening night.
The free throw shooting, it wasn't perfect, but it was better than at times last year. Was that a good stepping stone for 70%?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm a glass half full guy most of the time. Talked about having to cut down on our turnovers. We went from 18 to 16. There's still a lot of room to grow there. We want to be closer to single digits, as close to that as possible, because it's the game. You're going to have some turnovers. And then free throws. I think we were 9 for 19 on Thursday in our exhibition. So to get there 27 times and make almost 70, our goal as a team is 75%. And that's what we shoot every day in practice, or shoot for every day in practice, because those are points that you have to have when you get to our league, and the games are decided by 2 possessions almost every night. So you got to take advantage of those.
You mentioned, I think it was yesterday, about needing to execute better on transition, specifically off of turnovers. How do you think you guys did?
We did better. I don't know what the numbers. I haven't looked at our detailed analytics, but I think it's going to show that we did a much better converting in transition. I know that there was a lot of transition baskets in that run to start the second half. But I don't have the exact number, but I feel better about it without the benefit of watching the film.
I'm looking at the box score. It kind of jumps out surprising. Q had a minus 13 in the plus minus. Do you know what you can attribute that to, or?
He's a freshman playing his first college basketball game, and it wasn't a 50-point game that he could just kind of relax. It was a game kind of not necessarily in the balance to the end, but it was a close game. There's a lot of stuff to process for a dude out there. And, and it's not making excuses, just reality. He's the only one we have. Like, no one's feeling sorry for Q. Not in our locker room, because they've all been through it. Avery Anderson looked like Q a few times 3 years ago. And now we have higher expectations. We don't need a minus 13 from Avery. We need him to be a positive every night. But that's part of the process. And I'm going to continue to talk about it, because I never want to mistake that this stuff really hasn't changed that much. He's going to have some moments where you're like, holy, wow, this kid's going to be really good. He's going to have some minus 13s. My job is to make sure his minus 13s aren't a minus 13 for us as a team. And kind of limit his exposure, but also give him some opportunities. I was intentional. I could have left Musa in late, but I wanted him in there in a 3-possession game with 50 seconds to go. It's a real moment for him. He's got to handle the ball. He's got to make a free throw. He's got to not turn it over. He's got to block out and communicate. And so those are parts of the process where he'll get better, and those numbers won't look like that very often.
And something that I think John Michael mentioned was you kind of emphasized to the guards, hey, might need to rebound a little more, help out with that. And I mean, I was looking. Avery had 7, BT had 7, and Avery averaged 3 and BT averaged 2 last year. Is that maybe less of a fluke and more of an emphasis?
They're capable. It's not what they do naturally, and it's what we talk about in our locker room. We're fighting the natural. We're fighting our normal instincts, because this team, quite honestly, has high goals. They have things that they want to accomplish, and to do that, you kind of have to do some things that don't always come most natural to you. And I talked about this maybe last week. I'm not sure if you were here. It was a natural thing for Ice to be a rebounder. He's always kind of a bigger guard that's really made his way around the basket was where he was most effective anyway. But these guys kind of hang on the perimeter some, and we know that Musa's not going to get 17 rebounds every game like he did the other day. The other team's going to do what they did. They're going to put 2 bodies on him, try to block him out. So there's opportunities. Caleb, boom, right, he gets 4 offensive rebounds, almost gets a double-double, and then those 2 guys get to 14 combined, pretty good. And so it's about every game, figure out a way to get the job done as a group. And that's the message we send in practice.
It's not every day, even ex-assistant at the game as a fan. It's kind of what is Cannon doing here, and what's that been like?
It's all. I mean, obviously, it's well documented how I feel about that family, and a lot of it is, through Kay. But Cannon and I have a great relationship. We still talk very often, and I was thankful to see him. He was in Dallas tonight, and wanted to come up and support the guys. He actually worked with several of these guys while he was here. And I believe he hadn't moved quite yet when Musa showed up on campus last August, and so had an opportunity to just talk to him about the process of getting better because he worked with our bigs while he was here. And so he made a tremendous impact on our program from a coaching standpoint while he was here. And unfortunately, it goes kind of unspoken because everybody just says, well, and again, his brother was a really good player, and if I had to do it over again, I wish I could do it over again, actually. But he's a great friend. The family's a great, friends of my families, and he's a big part of what we're doing now because, hey, he's a smart basketball guy. He taught me a lot as a coach while he was here, having spent time playing for Larry Brown and Tim Jankovic, and then working for Mike Dunleavy. 3 of the best basketball minds in our game. So he brought a wealth of knowledge, and I'm certainly glad that he feels comfortable to come back and continue to support the guys, even though there are a lot of other things he could be doing with his life.
Tonight, Woody played more minutes than he had any game last year. How do you think he was today?
I thought Woody was good. Woody it's a matter of finding consistency with him. He played pretty good in our exhibition game on Thursday, I guess now. So he just needs to continue to grow and continue to find his niche for our team. That's this whole deal all year. It's each guy individually accepting what their responsibility. You don't say role. Role is a bad word for a basketball guy, right? But their responsibility for our team. And his responsibility is as that kind of hybrid forward, be a good versatile defender, rebounder, and occasionally if we need him to, be able to make an open shot. And he made a couple today.
We talked about it a couple weeks ago. You didn't have that goal to point to, that NCAA tournament potential berth to point to. What was it like coaching this game with something to point to, something to anchor?
It was great. And obviously I'm not thinking about it during the game, but I'm very aware of it. And that's why I've been pretty bullish with these guys about not letting this moment pass them. Right? We have a tremendous opportunity to establish the national identity of our program and not with negative headlines about what we cannot do or what we won't be able to do. But with this team is really talented, and if they play together consistently, can have a lot of success. And I look forward to watching the journey.
Open up the floor for questions.
John Michael, I guess just to start, how are you? That looks pretty scary.
Oh yeah, I'm good now. I just caught a cramp in both of my legs, and I couldn't move neither one of my legs. But
You're trying to win a Grammy or school, and win the Oscars.
nah, yeah, but I feel good now. I just got to make sure I drink some more water before the game. I'm gonna take this home and drink all that.
Did you know it was a cramp right when it happened, or were you?
Yeah, I knew it was a cramp. Yeah, I done had a cramp in one of my legs before that felt like that, but not both of them. But I didn't think nothing was torn or anything. I know that's probably what it looked like, but thank God I'm healthy.
Yeah, is that scary at all? When you weren't even hardly moving and you go down?
Yeah, it is scary because I'm like, how do I prevent that? But I talked to our trainer. He just told me I got to eat better before the game and get some more fluids in me. So, but it was scary though, and it didn't feel too good. But, thank God I'm good now. So.
I think it was kind of telling just how quiet it got. Like the crowd saw what you did. How'd the night go aside from that? How'd you think it went overall?
Aside from that, I felt like it was good. I think I played pretty well in our system, hopefully. The flow of the game was pretty good. I was able to feed off KB, BT, Avery, pretty well. So, I think it was going well before that. But, yeah, obviously that ended my night early. But, I'm glad we got the win. I was happily supporting our guys on the bench once I got back from the training room. So.
You guys started 0 for 11 from 3, and then you finally opened things up. Did it feel like some sort of twisted joke that you guys couldn't get one to go down?
Man, I don't know what it was. Shoot around, we were shooting good. Practices prior to, we were shooting good. Maybe it was just first game jitters for everybody, But, once I made that one, I think Caleb made one, and then we were off to the races by then. We knew once one of them went in, we'll be good. The coaching staff just kept telling us, keep shooting with confidence because, they're there watching us shoot in practice. So, they still believed in us to make them, and then they started going in.
The one you pulled on the right wing from NBA range, where does that confidence come from in your first game in Gallagher-Iba?
Shoot, just shooting in the gym, coming back late nights, got your headphones in, listen to music, you imagine moments like that. So, you just build that confidence. But it also comes from my teammates and the coaching staff. They seen me shoot those type of shots. I've seen them shoot them. So, just being able to have a support staff that knows that you can hit those type of threes and believes in you to shoot them just gives you more confidence. So.
Caleb, what kind of spark was John Michael tonight?
He was a great spark, man. Like he said, we was at halftime. We was all stressing about not making the three. We saw it was we were struggling at first, and the coach was like, "Don't hesitate." And then he was the spark, and then the way he was guarding the ball, picking up full court and everything like that, it was just a spark. So yeah, he really kick-started everything for us.
Thanks, Kevin.
You're welcome, man.
You had 15 on 7 shots, a handful of rebounds, a couple blocks. What did you think you were?
I thought it was good. Had moments where I feel like I went quiet. I feel like I shouldn't do that. I gotta be aggressive and more assertive all the time. But then I feel like I did good. 15 and 9 rebounds with 2 blocks. Yeah, I'm just out there doing my job. One of my biggest keys this game was rebounding because last game with the exhibition I left with 3 rebounds. Today I finished with 9, so I felt that was a good improvement.
What did you guys think of the defense tonight? You had that lull maybe late in the game, but what did you think of the defense overall?
It was kind of weird at first, but it's not something I haven't seen before because they run similar defense like Texas Tech, where they just keep the ball on the sideline, try to blue everything, rotate. So it wasn't really difficult. It was at first. It was just we didn't play to our speed, our pace. We kind of let them dictate it. So in the second half, when we started getting stops, and then we started getting the half court, it was okay. We're not going to do this. Y'all going to do what we want y'all to do.
What about your defense, though? You guys really shut them down for a long time.
Yeah, I think at the beginning, once we saw our shots weren't going in, we really had to lock in the huddle and say, okay, we'll get everything started on defense. We wanted to get more fast break points. Even prior to the game, that was an objective that we had. So we just made sure we toned in on defense because the shots weren't going in. And, once we started making shots, we got more amped on defense as well. So we started getting steals. KB and Musa was blocking shots left and right. So once we pick those things up, I think throughout a full 40 minutes, we'll really be tough on the defensive end.
This is your first game, obviously, first official game. Have you been around a team with this kind of collective defensive effort?
Say again?
Have you been around a team with this kind of collective effort on the defensive end?
Yeah, I have. At High Point, we played pretty good defense. We were I think 3rd in our conference and no made 3.
Yeah.
But, just having guys like Caleb and Musa around the rim really helps us guards, even if we get beat, which we try not to, but they're there to, just defend those type of shots. So, having that around, I haven't had that type of caliber athletes. Maybe I had one in my last school, Zachary Austin. But, overall, we have Caleb Asbury, how he picks the ball up full court, all the minutes that he's in, just players like that really come together and just make us a lot better on the defensive end.
Caleb, Musa had that low post pass to you, under the basket. He had a similar one to Tyreek. How far has that kind of connection come, and much farther do you think it can go?
It's that connection has came a long way. I remember last year, a lot of people always wondered why Musa and me and Musa aren't playing together. Why can't he just play both of us? But now me and Musa are on the same team. We practice all the time. We do the yo-yo. That's the pass that was a yo-yo pass that he gave to me. But every time in practice, I'll be in the middle of a post move, I see a double team, I'll just throw the lob to Moose because I know he's going to be right there. We practice zone, everything like that. So, like, that connection is really good right now, and it can only get really better. It just depends on how the defense, the other team wants to play it. Because if they send a double team with the 4-man, I'm going to be right there. If I'm in a post-up and the 5-man want to step up, I'm just – find Musa, just throw the lob.
This is your first game guarding on the perimeter as much as you have. How'd you find that?
It's fun. Playing the 4 is really fun. It's challenging because my whole life I was told, go stand by this block shots, put your hands up, and guard somebody that's 250, 260. So being able to guard somebody that weighs as much as me or a little bit, like weighs a little bit more, it's fun. Like I could go out there, switch, guard a 4-man at one point, I could go guard a 2, and I could go guard a point guard. Then the next possession I could go guard a 5-man. So, like, it's fun, it's challenging, but it also helps me on offense and defense because now I can fly in for rebounds. I can see where something's going. I can use my length to help, like, John Michael recover and stuff like that. I could be more supportive and help. So, it's fun.
Your two guards, Avery and BT, they both had 7 boards today. And I was just looking from last year, Avery averaged 3 boards a game, and Bryce averaged 2 boards a game. So, I mean, is that just hey, first game rebounds kind of happen like that sometimes, or is that maybe something y'all have seen in practice going forward?
Nah, Coach Mike told us before the game that, you know, we were playing against bigger bigs than we have in the exhibition or, like, the scrimmages we had prior to this one. And he told the guards we got to help out tonight. And Avery and BT just took that challenge and did exactly that. You know, both of them have 7 boards as a guard. It was pretty good. So it was talked about. It wasn't something that just happened. You know, Coach Mike put that expectation on us all, and they just took it and ran with it.
Any other questions? Awesome. We'll wrap up this part of the availability now.
Thanks, guys.
Thank y'all. Have a good night.
I still blame
Don't
you.
forget after this, our next